have any interest in non-dual awakening. But because of your mindfulness practice, which is, again, a good practice, we're not saying it's a really good practice, actually. It's part of KI, mindfulness is. But if you don't realize that in the beginning, if you start a mindfulness practice, and like so many of us, you can't see where the stuff is coming from. You know, you can't see that the trigger that you're experiencing is coming because you repressed hurt. Then you could benefit from inside out, because we're showing you from the beginning that what your mindfulness practice might not show you, so that when that comes up, that trigger, that shadow, now you know from inside out that's coming from repression. And you also then would know that probably your mindfulness practice won't get to it, because you learn also in the beginning that this stuff is hidden in the body. So I don't think it's just the non-dual thing. It's any first dimension practice. It's like providing another way to another practice in there to get to the root early.
Yeah. So the mindfulness practices, you know, let's say Thich Nhat Hanh is a great teacher of mindfulness and Buddhist teacher. And when I was into Thich Nhat Hanh, I was having this idea that this is it. This is all I need. This is the ultimate. And I just need to do more of this, do it more and more often and deeper. And that will solve all my problems. And before that, I was in some progressive path, like a fourth way, which was kind of very similar. Then I was into the direct path, non-dual. And again, so what you are saying and what we have discovered is that, you know, although we appreciate in KI and we encourage for people to engage in a regular mindfulness practice, a meditation practice, resting as awareness, welcoming the totality of the experience, and, you know, not being checked out or identified. So that's an important stepping stone. We discovered that, okay, I meditate. I still meditate now. Even before the interview, I meditate a little bit because I like it. But let's say there may be something, a little contraction or a little tension or a little sense of unease that I'm aware of. And then I'm just letting it be, and I'm just allowing, witnessing, and then if I meditate for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, then that will go down, and then I feel more spacious and calm, and then I'm like, okay, thank you, that was good. But you are saying that, hey, that little sense of unease, it's just the this little sense of unease is just the flower of something that has deeper roots, and by you just witnessing a little bit, it's not going to go away. It's going to come back over and over. Yeah. So maybe, yeah. So Scott brought the map of 3 dimensions. So the KI inside out path. So there are 3 types of work, so to say, 3 types of practices or 3 types of focus, and that are necessary. And what we talk so far, this mindfulness, non-duality, even practices like what am I, and what is that which is aware, and is that which is aware limited or not. So all of these, they are part of what we call first dimension.
Yeah, well, I brought this up for a reason too, because you were talking about mindfulness, which we would call as a first dimension practice, and you were talking about how you were articulating how certain things wouldn't necessarily arise. It would be in the body. You were alluding to that. So I wanted to just bring the map up, because with the map, the red lines, we'll see here in 3rd dimension, this red line represents the core fear that we, the survival mechanism programming that we have, how it's run by fear. And then also there are other repressed emotions in that. This is deeply held in the body and then often hidden when you're in 1st dimension. We've said this before, but I think it's important to say on the inside out path that if you're sitting there in meditation and something comes up that's like any of those things on the left side here, a shadow, a trigger, a compulsion, you wouldn't necessarily at all be able to be conscious of the root programming of that because it's so buried. And that's the thing that people don't realize in first dimension until you realize it, that some of the root programming that's creating the different things isn't arising to awareness. So you could be mindful of all the effects of that for a long time. And that's actually very helpful, to be mindful and allowing of all the effects of the repression and the fear.
Yeah.
But it doesn't get to the root. And that's the whole point. We don't make a whole interview about that, but that's the whole point. We have to go inside out. We have to pick up different skills to get to the root on the inside out path, other than first dimension stuff.
Yeah, so there's this myth, I guess there's some myth somehow we inherited in these teachings coming in the West, that witnessing, meditating, being aware is going to be enough. And that would lead to finding your true self, and that is definitely enough. And if you have this awakening, which is, I'm still watching non-dual videos, and there's a lot of videos out there where people have an awakening, and then they do a video after 2 weeks, and then they are like full of joy and enthusiasm. And the myth is that, okay, now that everything's going to unravel like a sweater, you found the core thread, and this awakening happened to our true nature, and everything is unraveling. And so therefore, the first dimension is somehow enough. And when I was, in like famous and popular and good non-dual teachers, the idea was like, yeah, life will bring you suffering and triggers and a sense of lack. But if it comes to you, just investigate it. But otherwise, don't dig in. Don't dig in. It's just, if it comes to you, look at it, of course, and trust that things will come now, because you are more conscious. Things will come now, and it's going to happen by itself. And but I was actually recommended, hey, don't dig into the subconscious. Don't go, because it's endless, and you're going to get lost there. And why stay with, why be interested in what you are not, So, yeah.
I wrote you a little note there because I want to say something about that real quick. I know you're in a little bit of thought, but just like that, if a teacher says don't dig in, what we've learned from KI is those kinds of phrases are, the nervous system loves those because it keeps us safe. So it can sound like a teacher saying that from wisdom, when they could be saying it from a need for safety. So you have to always verify for yourself everything that every teacher says, in terms of, they give you a pointer, like that's what we're doing in KI. Because if you have if a nervous system has a command in there, don't dig, that is not coming from the non-dual teachings. That's coming from childhood and not wanting to feel something, or something like that. Don't feel that, don't go there. You have to be really careful when you're a seeker, because you could be picking up pointers that are actually trauma commands and responses in your body. And nobody's clarifying that for you, that they're giving you a pointer that mirrors your trauma response.
Yeah.
So yeah, just wanted to say that, something like that.